Alone. Trapped. Does that describe how you feel? We live in an age where everything is just a tap away: texts, likes, even video calls. So why do so many of us still feel this emptiness? We're surrounded by connections, but how many actually fulfill us? How many bring us purpose, real motivation? The brutal truth is, being surrounded by people online doesn't mean having a deep connection, not with others and not with ourselves. This is where loneliness transforms. It's not your enemy, but it's not your friend either. Without discipline, it's a prison. With discipline, it's your training ground. So ask yourself, are you using your loneliness to build yourself or to break yourself? Are you ready to turn this isolation into unshakable strength? Loneliness might seem like just a feeling, something invisible, but it's actually impacting millions of lives, and in a big way. Recent studies show that despite the rise of social media and virtual contacts, loneliness has never been so deep. In a global survey, nearly 40% of young adults report feeling frequently or always alone. Among the general population, isolation rates are rising alarmingly, with serious consequences, not just emotional, but physical. Chronic loneliness has been linked to a 29% higher risk of heart disease and a 32% increase in the risk of stroke. For young adults, the impact of isolation is even more profound. A Harvard University study indicates that 36% of all young people aged 18 to 25 report loneliness levels that directly interfere with their routines, increasing the risk of anxiety and depression. This situation is especially concerning in an era when we are paradoxically more digitally connected than ever. These numbers reveal the real cost of unmanaged loneliness. They reinforce the importance of turning these solitary moments into quality time, of reconnecting with oneself, rather than letting it become a destructive cycle. Choosing to live constructive solitude, instead of slipping into isolation, is not just a personal choice. It's a decision to care for your emotional and physical health. Solitude is like an empty room. It can be the scariest place you've ever encountered, or the room where you lay the foundations for your future. Constructive solitude is the chance to stop running away from yourself and face what you fear most, your own thoughts. When you master this space, it stops being a frightening void and becomes a place where you can truly grow. Think of that moment when you're alone at home and the TV is on just to drown out the silence. Instead of facing the quiet, you end up wasting time, wandering aimlessly, or opening the fridge for the third time in half an hour. Not because you're hungry, just out of boredom. Take that time you have and turn it into something that truly matters. Grab that book you swore you'd read one day, but it's just been gathering dust on the shelf. Or sit down with a notebook and start writing your goals. Not the ones that everyone wants, but yours. The ones that will make sense to you 5 years from now. Constructive solitude isn't about isolation. It's about deliberate action. It's diving deep, moving beyond the surface, and emerging stronger. Those who commit to this practice come out with clarity, focus, and a determination that few possess. It's not easy, and that's why so few people do it. But ask yourself, will you let solitude consume you, or will you use it to become unbreakable? Ever wondered what really sustains solitude that builds rather than solitude that consumes? The answer is simple: discipline. Discipline is the line that separates productive solitude, which strengthens, from solitude that erodes self-esteem. Without discipline, moments of solitude turn into a spiral of procrastination, and what could have been a time of growth becomes an empty void. With discipline, however, solitude becomes a personal lab where you can shape your skills and expand your horizons. Imagine waking up early on a day you could just relax, and instead you choose to create a routine: meditation, exercise, reading. Maybe even start learning a new skill like a language or an online course that brings you closer to your goals. Yes, discipline is just that. It's choosing what builds you up instead of what simply passes the time. It's saying no to what's easy and comfortable, and yes to what might be hard in the short term, but will be the foundation of your success in the future. When you commit to discipline, every solitary moment gains purpose. You stop losing yourself in time and start gaining clarity, strength, and the feeling that, yes, you're in control of your life. Remember, discipline is the thread that pulls you from emptiness into growth. Without it, even the biggest dreams remain just ideas. With it, even the smallest steps can turn into gigantic achievements. Be honest with yourself. Have you been using solitude as an excuse to put off your life, or as an opportunity to move forward with determination? But what happens when solitude stops being a choice and starts to dominate you? When you stop using it to grow, and instead get lost within it. Without discipline, solitude can turn into a maze with no way out. Instead of growth, what sets in is discouragement, apathy, and a feeling of emptiness that seems never-ending. This is destructive isolation, a state that drains your energy, motivation, and even the desire to move forward. Have you ever had one of those days where you feel so disconnected that even getting out of bed seems like an impossible task? Those days when everything loses its shine, and even the smallest tasks, like taking a shower or replying to a message, feel like heavy burdens. And then you start living like this, one day at a time, as if you're always on the sidelines of your own life. Isolation doesn't just weaken you, it corrodes you. It makes you forget what truly matters, robs you of your purpose, and traps you in an empty routine, one that just sucks everything you have. This cycle is dangerous and it's real. So look within and ask yourself, am I using my solitude to strengthen myself, or am I letting it destroy me? Isolation doesn't have to be a life sentence. If you choose discipline, you can turn the emptiness that consumes you into the strength that propels you. When isolation begins to drain all that's good within you, discipline is what pulls you back. It offers a path, a real chance to break the cycle and transform silence into self-awareness, loneliness into a space of personal power. Now imagine picking up a notebook and opening a blank page. In that moment, what you write there isn't just words. It's the truths you might avoid saying to anyone, even yourself. Fears, hopes, forgotten dreams, all of it reveals itself here. Writing is not just venting. It's an act of courage and discipline to confront what lies deepest within you. Or picture yourself committing to review your weekly goals. In that moment, you're not just killing time. You're taking back control of your life. It's in each small action that you turn isolation into an unbreakable inner connection. Discipline is the path that transforms isolation into an unshakable internal connection. Without it, you get lost. With it, you gain strength that the outside world can't provide. So look at yourself now and ask, am I waiting for isolation to consume me, or am I taking the reins to turn it into power? Have you ever considered that constructive solitude could be the foundation for stronger, real social connections? Because with discipline, you maintain and strengthen the relationships that truly matter. It's easy to get lost in shallow relationships, in the idea that more connections mean more companionship. But without discipline, even the closest relationships can become fragile, distant, and lose their value. Discipline to nurture authentic bonds means being present, even at a distance, and building a support network that makes a difference when isolation threatens to arise. Now imagine picking up your phone and instead of mindlessly scrolling through your feed, you actually stop and think about someone important to you. It's not just a quick message or a random emoji. It's a real message. How are you really? I miss you. This gesture isn't just contact. It's a reminder that you're present, that you care, even from afar. Or take a moment to listen to a friend without distractions, to be truly there, body and soul. These small actions build a genuine connection, and that takes discipline. It requires stepping out of the comfort zone and truly investing in the relationships that nourish your life. When you apply discipline to your social connections, each bond becomes deeper and more meaningful. It's not about quantity, but quality, about being surrounded by people you can count on, who genuinely know who you are. So ask yourself, am I investing in connections that strengthen me, or in distractions that leave me feeling even more alone? Solitude and discipline are two sides of the same coin. When you learn to use them together, they stop being a burden and become the drive for the life you want to build. Discipline is the key that transforms moments of solitude into periods of expansion. It's what separates those who see solitude as an opportunity to grow from those who get lost in isolation that corrodes. With discipline, solitude becomes a space for clarity, a reconnection with yourself, and preparation for both external and internal battles. Think about everything you could achieve if you found power in solitude instead of feeling crushed by it. Imagine the accomplishments, the inner peace, the strength you could develop if, instead of running from these moments, you embrace them with discipline and purpose. Solitude can be your best ally, but it's up to you. So, I invite you to turn constructive solitude and discipline into your tools for a stronger, more authentic, and fulfilling life. Don't let the emptiness control your path. Take the reins and use these moments to elevate yourself. And if this content resonated with you, leave a comment here about your frustrations and obstacles so we can help each other grow. Check out the video appearing on the screen and see how we can continue supporting you in living a more prosperous life.